All right, what's going on today? We're live and it is going to be a really good one. Today I brought my guy that does numbers, the one who helps me, my tax person, and I'm going to let him actually school you guys on what he schools his big clients on when it comes to saving money and how to protect. I want everybody to welcome Pete to the actual floor. What's going on, Pete? How we doing today?
Hey, Mark, thank you very much. Appreciate you having me, man. Love to have these talks.
Yes, indeed. So, listen, guys, when you're serious about your business or your personal
Mhm.
life, many of you guys are preparing for taxes. You guys are going to be getting money that's going to be coming back, right? When you are serious about protecting your income and your assets, when you are serious about your IRS compliance, when you need
Mhm.
someone who really understands that tax strategy, not just filing taxes. Pete, my guy, is not just a tax preparer. He is an audit expert with the IRS. He also understands IRS structure, tax structure. He
Mhm.
understands compliance. He understands how to legally keep more of what you also earned. And if you are watching this live and if you ever felt confused about taxes, refunds, business deductions, earned income, life insurance, or how wealthy people actually structure their money, this is the conversation that you guys need to hear. So please sit back, give me some questions if you are watching this live. And also, I promise if you are actually watching this on replay, please put a replay inside of the chat as well. And we can get back to you as well. So it will give you some also, we'll also give you some additional resources and links and things like that as well. So, Pete, we're here. What's
Yes, we
going
are. Nothing much,
on?
man. We're in the middle of tax season. It got started early. We actually had a bigger response this year earlier. Normally, we don't get busy until about next week when everybody.
Wow. Okay.
We probably have over 100 people already with their stuff and ready to go, and
Mm,
that's kind of saying something. That's kind of saying that people need their money for the economy this year. Things are
wow.
tight, so I think that's a sign for me. It's a sign that people don't want to play around. They know they get money back. They want to figure out how can I get it back as fast as possible.
So let's get into the real question. And
Mhm.
that's, I'm glad you brought that up, which basically helps me with my first question to you. What
Mhm.
are the top three legal ways people can immediately reduce their tax burden?
All right, so I'm gonna do this one for my sole proprietors, for my single member LLCs. I'm gonna start there. Um, you have to really look at your single member LLC or look at your sole proprietorship and determine is that helping you or hurting you. I'll give you
Mm,
a great example, Mark. Let's just say you're a single member LLC and you net $50,000, right?
hmm.
So that means 9 times out of 10, how they're set up, you're going to pay $50,000 in income tax on your taxes, but then you're
Wow.
going to pay self-employment tax, which is 15% additional because of your setup structure.
Wow.
There's a great way. There's two ways you can do this, right? You can convert your company to an S-Corp, which means that 50,000 still comes over to you, but there's no self-employment tax, or you
Okay.
do it as a closed corporation where that 50,000 is paid by the company itself and never onto you, right? But
Oh,
I'll give you one better. I'll give you one step more. If you're financially strapped at tax time or right before the season ends, you don't want to have to pay taxes on your $50,000. Taxes on $50,000, even for a corporation, is $10,000 to $11,000. Right?
wow. Okay.
If you switch that and change your fiscal year on your company, instead of having your fiscal year be calendar year, maybe your fiscal year ends in July. So now you're giving yourself 7 more months to pay taxes without paying penalty on that money that's owed. So you
Mm,
have an opportunity. And again, the one thing we do here, Mark, we do a lot of tax planning, right? We took a
yeah.
client last year that owed, I think he owed 10,000 and had paid in 45, to where we fixed it, where he got back a refund of 10,000. And this year he should get he should have paid in 15,000 less and getting back about 12,000. All
This
because
was
we
a guy
shifted
that
how
owns
his.
like I'm sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
No, 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 no. He so what happens? He's an independent guy. He works on his own, does well for himself. But the self-employment
Okay,
tax
okay.
alone was killing him. The self-employment tax was 15 to 20,000 on its own. So we
Okay. This is what I
removed.
was gonna ask you, was this guy like a business guy, or was he
He
like a
was.
regular working?
He
Okay.
was a business guy, right? He was a business guy who worked hard, worked long hours, and now we're able to turn him around so that now he takes a smaller salary. He has access to the capital, but he really is getting a refund from the government, a pretty sizable, a five-figure refund from the government when he didn't have to pay as much in because of how we structured everything. And it's all about
Mm,
structure for the businesses. I'll keep it honest. It's not about do you work hard. It's not about what about your deductions. It's about structure. So there's a lot of
mm,
things on that. Also on the real estate side, if you're anywhere in dealing with real estate, you should look at a cost segregation study. And in layman's term, what that means is that when you buy a house, let's say you buy a house for investment or you buy a commercial building, they give you one price. They tell you it's $1 million, right? Well,
mm.
it's not really $1 million because the doors didn't cost $1 million.
Right.
The cabinets didn't cost $1 million. And what happens with property, residential property, is 27 and a half years.
Mm,
27 and a half years, you get to write that off over. So you can't take it all at that time. You can kind of take a piece of it over 27 and a half years. If it's commercial, it's 39 and a half years. So you're talking
mm,
about if you paid a lot of money, you can only take a portion of it each year. Well, the cost segregation study says, well, the table in there only has a 5-year life. Why don't we take that over 5 years? The cabinets only have a 5-year life. The couches only have a 7-year life. So instead of us having to spread as much money over a longer time, we can spread a portion of the money and sometimes a sizable portion over a shortened time, which means we get to keep more money in our pocket because we get to write off those expenses quicker, right?
right. Right.
Yeah. And one thing, Mr. Trump, our president, he did what they call bonus depreciation. So what that means is that you can go to a certain degree of taking all your depreciation in one year. So if you
Mm,
know this is going to be your tough year where you made the most, that you had the most exposure, you can take most of your depreciation in that year and pay hardly any taxes on what you already paid for. Whereas
mm,
on just the opposite, if I know next year I'm going to kill it, I don't want to take all that depreciation this year. I'll take most of it next year. And
mm.
that's the big thing, Mark. For us, you have to understand your own business, understand what your business plan are and what your goals are. And then we kind of insert ourselves into that and think what is best for our clients and how they make out.
So
I
how
would
does that work for the regular 9 to 5 client that's trying to?
that's that's a great question. So I don't know if people are noticing this yet, but refunds are down, right?
Yeah.
The reason why refunds are down, the first thing first, is why is it down? It's down
Right.
because the W-4, people don't understand it, and it's not meant for you to understand, right? So the government doesn't really like, even though you're paying in all year, they don't like giving you your money back. And that's not
Ooh.
really their goal. Their goal is to hopefully break even, keep all your money, and call it a day. The W-4, if filled out properly, breaks even. So, I had
Oh.
somebody this year, well, wow, I got more last year. I said, yes, but you also paid less taxes. And I try to explain to people when taxes are spread out over 26 pay periods, $4,000 is only really not even $200 a month, right? So when you don't
Right.
think, when you're getting this if it's $250 a month and 125 a paycheck, I don't know about you, Mark, but I know my kids would kill that. I would end
Right.
up buying stuff, buying groceries, buying food, and you're not getting a chance to save it into your IRA or whatever you have, right? So you don't get to use that money. Um, at the end of the year, 4,000 would do more for me, paying off bills, taking the family on a vacation, almost using it as a forced savings. If you are
Mm,
disciplined, that difference is great for you because you'll put that in the bank. You'll put 60 or $80 in the bank every paycheck. Then at the end of the year, you have whatever you need to do. Whereas most
right.
people just don't have that discipline. And it takes a lot though, because when the bill's knocking on your door and you got it in your bank account, you're like, let me just get this off of my chest and pay this bill. So I
Mm,
think you should sit down. It's worthwhile, even if it's $50, $100, to have somebody look at you and make sure that W-4 is filled out. Because we've gotten letters from the IRS for our clients that didn't fill it out right, that aren't paying any tax. The IRS is literally sending them letters like it's wrong and we're going to come for you with forced compliance. And what that means is they're going to make you pay the max in taxes and then give you
wow.
a piece of it back. Yeah, it's pretty wild out here. So that's important for the individuals as far as that's concerned. Um,
Gotcha.
Also, individuals need to understand what laws are being enacted and what changes can be made. For instance, if you have a tip job, knowing that tips are no longer taxable. So if those who've never worked in tips, most cash tips don't get recorded. That's fine. But when you tip somebody on your credit card, that gets recorded and that gets reported to the individual on their W-2, right?
Right.
Because the money came into the company's not going to eat it. They're going to say, "Oh yeah, Sally, she made 5,000 on tips right here," right? In the past, Sally would have to pay taxes on those tips. Now she does not.
Mm.
So that's pretty big for the individuals and for those construction workers, police officers, fire guys that work overtime.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay taxes on the premium. Now, people don't like. I thought there's no tax on overtime.
Mm.
No. So if you work 45 hours instead of 40, you're taxed on 45 hours, but not the time and a half part.
Gotcha.
The half part doesn't pay any taxes. So it really, like I said, if you're an individual, not knowing whether or not you can benefit from these is important. You should have these
Wow.
conversations with your tax
Wow.
professional well
Yes.
in advance of you getting your taxes. Like I tell people all the time, if you bring me your taxes and your problems after the fact, I can just put a band-aid on the wound. But if
Right.
if we talk during the course of the year, we're having conversations, I can lead you in a way that's going to save you more money so that you can do certain things. You can invest in more money. You'd be
Right.
surprised how many people I have conversations with that they have businesses they don't want to tell me. I'm like, that's to
Mm.
your benefit to have that business. It's not.
Right.
And one thing I think is funny, the IRS actually will get you with tax evasion if you're doing something illegal and you don't claim the money. They don't care about the illegality. They care about the money. You have money coming in and you're not paying taxes. I mean, look at Gotti a long time ago. He got,
Right.
all the guys that got in trouble for tax evasion, not for doing crimes.
Right. They get you with the taxes.
So
Wow, that
if
is really
it
yeah.
hits your bank account, it hits your cash app, hits your all your payment methodologies, you might as well count it. You might, if it's
Mm.
over $600 to $1,000, you might as well count it because the government's going to get a copy of that. You got that money. It's not going to be a
Yeah.
secret.
So is saving money like after taxes? Is this about like deductions or is this about like more structure?
It's about deductions. It's about credits. It's about it's a combination of the things, Mark. Because one thing no longer affects everything. It's one thing. I mean, it doesn't affect just one thing. It affects everything. So how you move and what you do and how you do it is important. I mean, I have couples this year that got married the first year and they didn't have a pre-conversation with me about how that's going to affect them. They're in essence, each one is in a different tax bracket now
Mm.
because they brought it to the table. So each job wasn't withholding enough. But at the same token, if you file married filing separately, that is the worst tax bracket. That's worse than single as far as the tax basis, tax rates, and what you can and can't write off. You can't show a loss on your businesses if you're married
Yeah.
filing single. So
Right.
even all, so you would think it's not a big deal. Oh yeah, I just got married. No, we should have that conversation before you get married. Hey, you're gonna get married next year. Great. Your fiance needs to withhold a little more money, or you need to withhold a little more money. And
Right.
people think that extension thing is just an extension of time and money. That is just time. The money's due on April 15th, regardless, Mark. So, uh,
Mm.
they got to understand what's going on here.
So what's the difference between making more money and keeping more money when it comes to this?
So at the end of the day, it's not what you make; it's what you keep, right? I don't care if you make 100,000, if you pay taxes and you pay off, and you walk away with 5,000 versus you make 50 and you make 10. It's
Yeah.
important that you understand where your dollars are going, what you're doing with your dollars. So it's really keeping is everything. Keeping is
Right.
everything. And again, you can do certain things that are pre-tax, i.e., IRAs, which means
Right.
yes, you're paying into something, but it's your money. It's like
Yeah.
literally putting your own money in a cookie jar. It's your money. You just don't have it in your hand, but you can still see your money versus giving it to a government agency who is at their own discretion on what they plan on using it for.
Right. So, everybody that's watching this right now, please put some questions up in the chat. If you guys have any questions you want to ask Pete, we're asking questions in real time. We will get to all of your questions. We got a couple of people that are watching. Great. If you're watching this on replay, please feel free to comment and let us know what some questions are. These are some questions that a couple of my clients have been putting together for me. So I finally got a chance to get Pete. Pete, this is tax season right now, and
Yes, it
he is
is.
here to answer some questions. As busy as he is dealing with $1 million companies, I mean, you deal with millions
Mhm.
of dollars
Yep.
every single. What kind of responsibility is that, Pete? I mean, you've been doing it for years, but holding on to people and helping people save millions of dollars,
Yep.
that's like a big responsibility. How do you do it?
I mean, I think it's again, it goes back to the planning. I'll tell you something. What they've opened up is for businesses. They've opened up a lot of credits. There's a thing called R&D credit, which is research and development. So if you're a computer company or you're something, some kind of company that does research and development, they're giving you large credits for that. A lot of people who have jobs, they're hiring a certain class of people. Like if you're going people who are going from welfare to work, then you'll also get a large tax break, up to 40% of their salaries, to help you decide on how much you get back. So that's important. And again, this shouldn't be done like kind of like oops. It should be strategically done and planned and plotted. Even working on certain zones, there's a certain zones, the KOZ zones, that you can actually have your business in a certain zone and get a tax break for that. I don't know if
Wow.
anybody saw what happened in Camden at the Camden waterfront. The major corporations came in there. They didn't come in there
Yeah.
because they thought that was the best location for them. They came in there because they got tens, if not hundreds of millions to come in that location based on tax breaks. So
Wow.
you got to understand strategically how do you want to place your business, and that's I mean that's big time. But as far as what's going on, most of my multi-million dollar clients see me on a monthly basis, Mark, and we kind of look at things constantly looking like, okay, this is the move we need to make this year. This month we made 150,000. What are we going to do about that? That will put us in this bracket. What can we use against it? What kind of supplies or what kind of cost of goods sold do we need to offset that? They have a plan. They've been doing business for a while. It's just my job is to make sure we follow that game plan implicitly, so that we can go. But the one thing I
Right.
did want to touch on, Mark, you brought up a subject, um, is this compliance piece, and I think you and I talked about it offline.
Right.
Due to the change in tax laws and
Yeah.
due to the amount of credits and deductions that are being given out, IRS is really, really uptight this year when it comes to us as preparers as well as the clients.
You
They want
said
to,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
we want to, they want to make sure that we document that we're asking clients the right questions and they
Mm.
answer the questions the right way. And if they don't, we're supposed to let the IRS know this is a possibility, that this is not 100% up and up. They're almost trying to flip us where we're going against our clients. That's why it's important that our clients have conversations with us beforehand, so we know what to look for, tell them how to maneuver the correct way, and not kind of fall into the trap of, I don't have proof of that. I don't have this in writing. Like we actually help clients who don't keep books. Now we charge them a little more, but we'll get their bank statements, credit card statements, financial statements, and create books that will pass the sniff test should the IRS come and knock. They're everything are tied together. So therefore, if you spent X amount on meals, you can see where those meals came from. If you spent X amount on travel, we can see where that came from. That is
Mm.
key, because the minute you say, I'm not sure, I got to find it, let me look for it, it's like they dig in even deeper.
Mm.
So it's key. Record keeping is key, that you can prove that you bought it, why you bought it, us having a conversation with you. We save everything on our client files, but clients need to understand, like we told clients, we're sorry that it's more cumbersome, but it's for your protection and it's for our protection.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's the first financial habit that someone needs, like, to fix, or like to really to start saving? What's the first thing they
I
need to
think
do to
I
fix?
think discipline, Mark. I think discipline is the biggest thing. I think we have a habit of living up to what we make.
Mm.
So I think the discipline on that is, as you kind of up the ranks a little bit, you might want to sit still for the first two or three iterations of you moving up. Now, unfortunately, inflation is keeping up with people, so there's not a lot that you can do about that. Inflation, as
Yeah.
inflation goes up, what bread that cost $2 yesterday costs $4 a day. There's not a lot you can do with that. I believe there's going to be a cosmic shift when it comes to a lot of things. I believe real estate is one of them. I think real estate is going to kind of settle up because you got people right now overpaying for housing. I think, and you saw it during COVID, right? You saw food prices jump up; they skyrocketed, right? Because they said the cost of shipping that is now more expensive. But when the cost came down, the prices didn't come down because people were making so much money. I think what happens is what forces people stop using that. People stop buying certain things. People stop buying bacon. Eggs are through the roof right now. People are buying less eggs and making. So you're going to see if the cost is really going up, then things are going out of business. Give you a perfect example. I don't know if you drive around, but restaurants are going out of business like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. We're seeing that. Why? Why is that happening?
Because in restaurants cost, they're passing the cost on to the client, the customer. So when they raise their prices, pretty soon the customer goes, I don't know if I'm gonna pay that. I don't know if I'm gonna pay $25 for a chicken sandwich or whatever the case may be. I'll just stop coming here. So
Yeah.
a lot of small businesses, a lot of restaurants are independently owned. So therefore, they don't have the lines of credit of hundreds of thousands of dollars. They don't have, so they can't afford the cash flow month over month. So
Right.
therefore, it becomes because restaurants throw away 40% of their food. You got to
Mm,
think about it. They have to be able to prepare whatever you order, no matter what. So if they
mm,
buy food and it doesn't get used, it gets thrown away. So as that expensive cost goes up, that goes into the cost of your food. You have to help cover that cost.
right.
So as if you stop coming and stop patronizing or food cost goes up so much, they're not restaurants in particular aren't trying to gouge you. They're trying to keep up with inflation. And when it becomes too high, our brains go, that is not worth it to me. Right.
Right.
And when they do
Saving.
that, they lose business and customers.
Got it. So people are saving by really just limiting what they're doing extra.
Correct. I think it's time to tighten our belts a little bit, right?
So what deductions do average people miss every year?
Um, that's a
And when
great.
we mean deductions, I mean like taxes. What type of tax deductions? I mean, a lot of people are going to all of these different H&R blocks and this person and they're trying to
Mhm.
cut corners and stuff. And I know you don't really deal with the regular public per
No, we
se, you
don't.
deal with more business, but
Well, we
the
do with
average
individuals as
person.
well, right? I want to say we have a 50-50 mix. What I will tell you is,
Oh, you
you,
do like regular
oh,
like
absolutely. Absolutely.
okay, okay.
We have hundreds of clients we do individual. I tell you
Okay.
the difference between us and H&R Block. First of all, we're going to have a conversation. We're not just trying to get you in and out. We'll get you on the schedule, but they also charge you more for certain situations. And now we all do, but as far as like we don't charge our clients if you get an earned income credit, we don't charge you more for that.
Yeah.
And H&R Block and Jackson Hewitt, they'll charge you a lot more for that because people are getting so much money back, they're willing to pay a little extra to get their money as fast as possible.
Oh, do they
So
now?
yeah, that's a huge one. So for most people don't understand the earned income credit, you can get $43,000, make no money, and pay no taxes, and still get a refund of 4 or 5 grand if you have
Mm,
up to 3 kids. So it's between earning your income and earned income. Income comes in so many different forms, right? You have
wow.
dividend, you have retirement income, you have all kinds of income. Earned
Yeah.
income means you actively worked for that income, meaning you had a W-2 job, or you had a business, or you had something that you active, not passive, but you actively got that income. That's first. Second part is how many qualified children do you have? Qualified
Mm,
means they are 17 or younger. They're not claimed by anybody else, which is a thing they're looking for is big time as well. It also means that they're students, or you can prove that they're your children or your care of. Care means you provided more than 50% of their support. So that's key. One of the questions we have to ask is, why are you claiming these children? Are they your children? Did you provide support for them? How much did you
right.
provide for them? I have a young lady who told me her sister is sick and she's been caring for her children. And she said, can I claim the children this year? I said, that's a great question. I said, you actually
Oh,
can. There's a form though the sister has to sign saying it's okay. Not so much, hey, let me claim Jimmy Joe and them, and I'm gonna give you back a little bit of money in my taxes. That's not the
yeah, yeah,
situation. The
yeah, yeah.
situation is, let me file. The sister's gonna sign off on the form saying that she's allowing her other sister to claim her children. And so
Right,
this is now on paper, on file, so they won't be looked at because there's so much scamming going on. People claiming other people's kids that don't have the right to claim their kids. I want to say maybe 5 to 7% of our clients last year went to file their taxes and their own kids were not available because somebody claimed them.
yeah.
Yeah, I had a client whose son who passed away, God rest his soul, and someone claimed him.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow.
it's crazy. So you can actually put a PIN number, which is a protection identification number, on your children, so
Okay.
no one can file them unless you give them
You
the number.
get authorized. Right, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's a lot of protection.
Yeah. So what deductions do small business owners miss?
They miss a lot. They miss depreciation is number, and they do. I mean, because depreciation is one.
Yeah.
Like for instance, if you have payroll, the payroll taxes and the fees you pay to the payroll company are deductible. The
Mm,
employee benefits that you give to the employees are deductible. You know,
Yeah.
there's so many different things that they miss regarding that. Again, that all goes to proper record keeping, either it be accountant, bookkeeper, CFO, whoever you have, that goes to that. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have this information, you can't tell me what it is. And coming to me with a box of receipts, you are not going to be happy with that bill. Because
Yeah.
after the first hour, we charge you hourly. So when you get that $1,000, $2,000 bill for a simple return that should have been $400, you're not going to be happy.
Wow. Wow. So when you, I guess the question is, this is an important one, right? So how organized should someone be before they even walk into your office?
Well, I mean, I guess I go again. That counts on how big they want their bill to be. I
Yeah.
would I would assume that they want to be super organized, Mark. I want to have for businesses, we love to have a profit and loss statement. If you made more than 250,000, we like to have a balance sheet. Just things
Okay.
that so we can kind of put your taxes together in the right way. There's still gonna be
Mhm.
questions,
Mm.
and like I want to go back to a question you just asked me though about what deductions we miss. I think
Mhm.
corporations need to understand the flexibility they have. One of my
Yeah.
favorite examples is if you had to have a board meeting once a year, and on your board is your wife, on your board is maybe your best friend, and on your board is somebody else. No one said that board meeting has to be in your city. It doesn't have to be virtual. You can have that board
Yeah.
meeting in Cayman Islands if you want,
Mm.
right? So that means you travel to that board meeting. That what you do while you're there on that board meeting, as long as it's notated that you understand that on Tuesday we're going to talk about this, what it's going to be. We're going to have a vote. On Wednesday we're going to have retreat day. On Thursday we're going to have a vote on this. On Friday we're going to have another retreat day, and on Friday we're going to go. On Saturday we're going back. You can
Yeah.
deduct your board meeting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have that. That's a goal. So we do it every Tuesday, but then we'll have longer ones. My
Hmm.
wife, the children, we've been getting the kids structured with
Hmm.
family meetings, just like how you taught.
Yep.
That's going into more of the trust. That's going more into creating the holding company, and then the companies that's owned by the holding company and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
We
Now,
just did that. We literally just had a
yeah.
client just came to us last week that had 13 companies, and they
Mm.
worked as 13 independent units. He was overexposed.
What?
Yeah, he was overexposed. He didn't have a right. He didn't have an operating company that kind of controlled the cash flow, and it was just kind of like some of them weren't even functional. So you're paying taxes for a company that's not even functional at the moment. So we kind of
Companies.
yeah, we're working with him now to understand the top level of his trust level, his holding company, his management
Yeah.
company, his asset acquisition company, and also his different LLCs for purpose. We have the real estate ones here, we have the travel ones over here. So we're just trying to make sure that it makes sense for him as
Yeah.
far as companies and why he's doing it.
Okay. So for our non-entrepreneur business owners,
Mhm.
how do you feel about them having board meetings with their family and their
Well,
children?
it's a difference. So I mean, they can have whatever they want for a non-entrepreneur, but why are we doing it? What's the purpose? Are we going to start a business? Are we going to start a nonprofit? I had that question just the other day, Mark, of hey, should I be a corporation or a nonprofit? I said, well, both have their benefits and both have their risks.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, not people don't understand that nonprofits are allowed to make similar money that they do in their sector. So if you're a non-profit for Park and Rec, you should be making roughly what someone in your position makes. The only difference is you cannot have a bonus, right?
Right.
You can't scrape a bonus. Oh, we got 15,000 left over. I need 10 of that. Pass that over here, please. Yeah, that
Right.
you literally have to plan for that next year, what you're going to do with that money in the next fiscal year. And
Right.
and that has a lot more forms that to do. It has a lot more things you have to stay on top of, programs, program budgets. It's a lot more work. So sometimes is
Yeah.
it really worth it, right?
Yeah. We've been seeing it's an uptick in New Jersey.
Mhm.
Um there was they found that there are some nonprofit senior living care homes, and all the top executives have been paying themselves an exuberant amount of
Mhm.
salary year. Like they've increased. And when I mean like all of these places, you're talking about in New Jersey alone, it's
Mhm.
3.6 billion with a B, $3.6 billion. The industry went from 3 years ago, 1 billion to 3.6 billion, right?
Mm.
So they're giving themselves higher wages while they're just paying their average person to care for these folks $20 an
Mhm.
hour. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So their salary doesn't go up, but they found a way to actually pay, and they're trying to work around the IRS right now.
Yeah.
And that's a
That's
huge,
going to be a tough one for them.
yeah,
Happens all the time, and they just kind of eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and they'll pretty much win because the record keeping, the rules of the nonprofit, even following your own rules and regulations, right? Because a
yeah,
nonprofit has to have their own internal rules and regulations, and they can bang them on not doing what it's supposed to do. One thing that
mhm,
nonprofits get caught in a lot, Mark, is called outside income.
yeah.
So I helped a sorority a couple of years ago, and they actually had enough members where they could buy a building, and
Wow.
they were like, you know what? Just having the building to have our meetings a couple times a week, and we're not here during the day. We should actually use the facility to rent it out. So they rent it out to a cooking school during the day. Made sense, right? They're getting monthly revenue. It's not
Right.
affecting their business and what they got going on. And if there's some kind of cross, they can discuss a time schedule. Made a lot of sense for them to make an extra $24,000 a year.
Wow.
Come to find out, that's not in their charter to do cooking. So therefore, everything was nonprofit except for that 24,000, which is fully taxable. Yeah.
Ooh.
So you have to kind of understand. That's what I'm saying. You have to understand. And if they didn't report that as taxable income, that's a whole different issue.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, you really have to understand how to operate your nonprofit if you are going to go the nonprofit route. Nothing wrong with it. But if you're going that
Absolutely.
route, you need to understand that.
So our folks that are out here that are, working their average living day to day, and they're inside of this economy, right? This
Mm.
economy, you know, there's so many different pros and cons of people's
Mhm.
opinions of what's good and what's not good. But one thing's for sure, two things for certain. Everyone is still getting paid the same, but the money is still going up, right?
Correct.
As far as inflation is during this time, because I have clients that are, you know, they're trying to make a better way for themselves, and
Mhm.
they're trying to improve their health, but some of them will sacrifice their own health just so that they can work extra hours and work longer times and
Well,
things
you
like
almost
that.
have to, right? So I
Right.
think I think I'll give you two things. I think this economy that we've had has been kind of hard as far as cost of living than
Yeah.
years past.
Hmm.
Even in my own household, we have to, hey, turn that light off. Hey, we're more so than ever before, right? Just making sure that there's savings. We're not burning stuff for no reason. But I
Yeah.
also think if you watch TikTok, if you, you can actually have even not WhatsApp, but ChatGPT design something for you that you can do at home to make some extra money. I believe
Right.
that this economy and this time frame there's more ways to make money than ever. I know
Mhm.
people on YouTube. I got a student on YouTube channel that I used to coach a long time ago. That kids making a couple $100,000 a year on the side, and you'd be surprised at some of the things that will really take off. But you got to kind of work backwards, Mark. If you figure things are tight in your house, but an extra $1,500 a month would loosen some things up, then what can you do to make an extra, I don't know, $400 a week? What can you do to
Mm.
make an extra four? If you look at it like that, it doesn't sound so crazy, right? If I'm selling,
That's so. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So that's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
So you're saying, right? Instead of cutting expensive, like it's cutting expensive more powerful than increasing income.
No, I mean, it's not because at some point, how much can you cut? There's only so
Mm,
much you can cut, right? I
right.
mean, if it's not there anymore, what you can do is just cut it off. You can't use it anymore. I teased my lady. I said, pretty soon we're going to be vegan out here because the cost of meat is so high, right? But I think you have to learn how to make more money in this economy. What are you going to do
Mm,
to make more money? Are you going to be advantageous to people who are dealing with stuff and buy stuff cheaper, or are you going to create a different format for you to make money, a different service? It's to the point now that certain industries are going to be uh, useless in about 5 to 7 years because of AI. But
wow.
but then why wouldn't that person learn how to do AI in everything? Why wouldn't you sell AI services? Why wouldn't you? Because for a business owner, if I can do more work with less employees, wouldn't I want that? Couldn't I do
Mm,
that? So if you come to me and you handle my pain point, which is, oh man, my payroll is X amount. Well, how about I cut that in half and I get the same job done as everybody else?
Yeah.
then you got my ear. You have my ear.
So
So
what do you
like
think about these services that will be coming up with taxes that will be AI? You got a robot that can just
I think taxes eventually will become AI.
yeah.
I think we're too early in the game because there's so much moving parts to that. But I think eventually the basic part of it is going to be AI
But
for
what
the
people
person.
don't understand is this part where you come in and where you've always come in.
Yep.
You do those emergency audits. Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
Like
AI
you
can't do your audits
wouldn't
for you for
believe them
sure.
audits when you get them papers. That's some very scary business. So how are you going to work around that?
You
I feel
can't.
like
You
that was
can't.
one of the biggest things that you basically kind of seared in my mind back in 2018 when I first started with you. You were like, "Yo, I protect you from audits." You know what I'm saying? If you get an audit, if you're with me, you have my, you know what I'm saying, guarantee that I will be working with you through this audit. You know what I'm saying?
I
I
tell
give
you
a
what,
them,
Mark, we did
yeah.
one thing even for the starting last year. We're asking our clients to sign paperwork that basically lets us represent them in advance. So we don't
Mm,
have to wait till after it hits. So literally, if
right,
a letter comes to our clients, we get a letter too. So we're on top of it. As soon as it happens, we know about it because
right,
we know the IRS is the big bad wolf. And we know when people see that letter with that green that says IRS,
right,
that goes on top of the desk and the stays closed until it's time for them to see me. Right? We don't
right.
want that. We some problems that we can deal with head on and early or even correction. I have a client this year that the IRS literally withheld $4,000 for them, and when we asked them why, they couldn't tell us. They could not tell us. They said, "Oh, he has this." We pulled his transcript. Like, I don't see that on his transcript. Where are you getting that from? Like, yeah, I'm not sure. We should talk about it some more. Like, no, why don't you give him the rest of his money? We're fighting now to get him the rest of his money that he's owed. Now he's going to get it plus interest
Wow.
because they have no reason to pull his money. Most people are too scared to fight against the IRS. And again, if you're in the right, you should be okay. Now, if you did something you have no business doing, which is a dirty little trick that Jersey does. In New Jersey here, they if you get that, we talked about it before, earned income credit. If
Yeah.
you get that, Jersey doesn't give it to you until you prove a couple things. Like, are
What's
you
that?
prove those your children? Did you have a business? Did you file that way with the federal government? They will hold. I got clients who are fighting getting 6 and 7 years back of Jersey because
Wow.
because Jersey feels like if it's fraudulent, you're not going to come ask about it. You're not going to
Wow.
bother us. But if it's not fraudulent, okay, we'll give it to you plus a couple of dollars. But they'll win in the wash.
Mm, mm. So, at what point should someone start a side business or business for
Yesterday,
like a yesterday?
yesterday. Why wait? I
Tax
mean,
advantages also, like for tax
oh,
advantages?
absolutely. The tax advantages are huge. You now come into the business bracket where most of your things are considered write-offs that you need for
Right.
your business. So,
Mm,
you go from being an employee where almost nothing you can do is a write-off to where you're in a
right.
business where almost everything you can do is structured properly can become a
So,
write-off. So,
so you think that everybody has the possibility of being business owners?
oh yeah. You don't so the great thing is it takes a certain wherewithal to be 100% on your own. I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you that, hey, that's great life. It takes a certain amount of, stick to itiveness. There's nothing wrong if you have your guaranteed paycheck every other Friday, but you start on your own as well on the side. I mean, originally when I first started, that's what I did. I had my own, I worked for an engineering firm. I was the chief accountant for an engineering firm. And it was great. But then I saw my side money was almost neck and neck. And I'm like, I'm giving this part-time energy, but I'm making the same as I'm making my full-time job. What if I worked on this full-time? What would happen? And that's kind of was my cue to gracefully exit and start my own full-time. I think that most people should have that mindset of, okay, what do I
Mm,
need? What do I need? If I need
yeah.
400, let me make 600. What can I do? And again, this AI out here will give you ideas of what you can do depending on what you want to do. Is it design websites? Is it go places and do a travel service for people? Like, there are so many different things you can do with low liability that can get you
Mm,
that income that you're looking for.
absolutely. So when it comes to a person being able to start and that and when some people don't know, like we're not talking about like a bit like you can do real estate. Real estate is
Mhm.
technically a business.
It
Some
is.
you may have some extra money that you put to the side. If you were keeping your money in a bank account, it is dying every single
Mhm.
day.
It's not keeping up with
So
inflation. Yeah.
what's a good percentage for that growth maturity? 3%?
Well, right now I think CDs are doing 3.5%. But the cost of living is going up like 4 to 5%. So, like you were saying before, you're kind of working backwards.
Yeah.
You want to you want to figure out how to get into whatever you're going to get into, but you want to beat the cost of living. Again, you got to find out what the difference is, what will keep you comfortable
Yeah.
versus what won't. If it's $100, $200, $300, $400, whatever, you need to plan ahead. Are your kids school age? Are they going to go to
Yeah.
public school or private school? Because if you got Johnny in the eighth grade around the corner of school, but your high school is not that good as far as education or even environment, do you want to send them there? Oh, that's going to cost you another 18,000. Okay, well then now we don't need $400 a month. We need $1,200, $1,500,
Right.
$1,600 a month, whatever the case may be. Right. So it's important that you get on top of that and understand moving forward. Waiting too late is going to do nothing but frustrate you about something you can't change. Right. So
Mm.
we might as well jump on top of it now. Sit with
Yeah.
somebody. If you listen, if that's not your thing, I get it, right? I get it. It's not everybody's thing. Sit with somebody
Yeah.
and say, here's what I'm trying to get to. Here's where I am. How can I get there? What can I do
Yeah.
to get there?
And you
So
get people like that, and you have a teams that basically can help with that. So,
mhm.
can a side business legally reduce someone's W
Abs-
two like
absolutely.
tax burden? How?
100%, because it opens you. So I've given this example a million different times about using your children as tax deductions.
Right.
Most of the time, your children are, if they work, even if they're not of work age, because remember, thanks to farmers out there everywhere, you can hire your own kids without the statutory labor laws, right? So
Mm.
that means your 1 year old can work for you. That means your 5 year old can work for you.
Mm.
So if you want to pay them, you can pay them commensurate with that job is. Now, I told somebody a baby can model and be on your website. What are they being paid for that?
Mm.
You're transferring your taxable income over to the child who can make up to say 15,000 before they have to pay any taxes. Right?
Okay.
Then on top of that, that child can now get a Roth IRA because they have earned income. That whole thing we talked about earlier. To get a
Yeah.
Roth IRA or traditional IRA, you have to have earned income. So now I just took, say I had 3 kids, I just took 45,000 off of my plate, passed it on to my children, which are now tax free, and I just passed on savings to myself, and my children's future is being set at the same time. Right.
Gotcha.
So again, it really plans on what you plan on doing. There's all kinds of ways you can make money. There's all kinds of ways you can save money, growth tax deferred. You can do pay your taxes now. And I had a client that said, "Listen, I know I have retirement plans. I want to convert that to a Roth IRA, only Roth ever from now on." So now he's basically in real estate. So he's basically going to retire, make money, but have no earned income to show for it, and not have to pay any
Mm.
taxes. So in
Got it.
retirement, you might make 5 or 6 thousand a month, but pay zero taxes. 5 or 6 thousand to pay taxes, you're only walking away with maybe four, 3,500 to $4,000. So it's a
Mm.
huge difference to have 4,500 versus 6,000 every month.
Mm. Mm. So, would you consider investing in the stock market like a job?
I think you should invest in the stock market, but I think, oh, I mean, talking about like day traders?
So no, no, no. I mean, like if someone has some disposable income or
Mhm.
income that they want to save, what's some of the best stocks right now to get into?
So first of all, you want to do mutual funds, anything that's a blend. You don't want to put all, unless you know somebody who knows somebody who
Yeah,
knows somebody. You don't want to go all in on just one stock, right? Because
yeah, yeah.
you're tied to them. If you go in a blended stock, a bond, they can actually not a bond, but like a mutual fund, you can actually get the aggregate gains of those mixed companies. I think one
How
thing
aggressive?
people hmm,
How aggressive should they be?
depends on how old you are. The younger you
If
are, the more
let's say
aggressive you
they're in
should
their
be.
third, let's say they're in their 30s, 32 has a one
Aggressive.
has a child.
32
You know what
should be
I'm saying?
aggressive because at 32 you got to think about it. If you retire at 67, that means you got 35 years to go, right? You should be super aggressive at 32. You should try to make
Okay,
sure that you're on top of it, involved in power stocks, the Coca-Colas, the AT&Ts of the world. So even when they go down, they're going down because the economy is going down, not because the business is going down. So when the economy picks back up, they're going to pick back up. Overall,
got
the stock really gives you about anywhere from 10 to 12 annually, historically,
it.
right?
Mm. So how
Prob-
much should you put in a stock to start?
How much are you going to lose?
How much are you willing to lose?
It's almost like walking in a casino, right? When I go in a casino, I go, okay, I'm gonna make this $10,000, but I got 50 I'm gonna lose, or I got 100 I'm gonna lose. When I get to that 100
Come
mark,
on, Pete. Don't nobody want to start with. Nobody want to start with what they're gonna lose. All right, so
you
let's say,
have to. So listen,
yeah,
this is why you diversify your portfolio. You don't
okay,
ever put 100% of our money into one thing ever.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
I had
okay,
somebody that did that years ago. They put 100% of money into their 401k, which we thought was safe, right? The company's strong. The economy dropped like crazy as '08. They lost 50% of their retirement 2 years before retirement.
okay.
When are you gonna make that back?
Mm.
Right?
So basically, what you're saying is that it would be probably more cost effective. And Aubrey, please give me some more. Give me some more questions. Okay, hold on. Don just said, what about close to 40?
So again, it depends on what your income is, right? First of all, what do you have disposable? I would have a part of it in insurance, right? If you do insurance actually has a great rate of return of 10, 11% that you could borrow against should you need it. I would do stock markets. I would do mutual fund. I would mix it up.
What
I
has
would
the
do
10 and 11?
hmm,
What has the 10 and 11
stock. So
percent?
I mean insurance. So if you do an
What kind
IUL,
of insurance?
index universal life funds, IUL. So let
10
me.
to 11%?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
What?
Most people
Are
with
you, are
wealth.
you
Most
talking about
people have
based on
wealth.
the you talking about based on the S&P?
I'm talking about based on what they report. I'm gonna tell you why that's so key, right? So a long
Okay.
time ago, whole life insurance will give you like 4 to 5% returns.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
people were like, yeah, I can get that somewhere else. So what they
Yeah.
did is they tied stock to the S&P 500,
Yeah, yeah. That's
right?
correct. That's a fact. That's a
So
fact.
as it goes up, you get the benefit of the gain. The problem with the S&P is every now and then
It
it
goes down.
dips, right?
Yeah.
But with the IUL, when it goes to there's a floor. The floor is like
Zero. It goes to
no,
0%.
like 0.75, almost 1%, right? So your money will never make any less than 1%, basically 0.75%. So
Oh.
imagine if me and you are going together, right? And we're both going to here, and then you drop, and I just go down a little bit, and then we got to come back a little bit. I'm already higher you on every step. So I
Yeah.
only share in the wins, but I don't share in the losses.
Okay. Okay. So what you're basically saying is before we even touch stock, we should go to a cash value IUL life insurance policy.
I'm saying that you should have both, right? You should have,
You should have both
oh,
because you got
absolutely.
mutual funds, you got little levers. The levers are like the
Correct.
elevator that
Correct.
brings up the elevator cable. Don't
Right.
worry, I've been to those
Yeah.
seminars before. I've been to those seminars before with the elevator equation. So a person that doesn't have because a lot of my clients they have a lot of term, right?
Term
So
is
they have
good though. Listen, let me tell
Oh,
you.
listen, I'm
All
cool
right.
with term. Nobody got nothing to say with term,
All
but they
right.
don't have a heaven on earth. They don't have a cash value system.
Correct.
So we want to give them both a cash value, but they have to understand that they're going to be paying more into the cash value because it's almost like a savings that's going to be ripped every single month. Do they understand that?
So the thing about cash value is it compounds, right? The
Right.
eighth wonder of the world, compounding, right? What is it compound? It compounds at whatever the stock market is. However, there's a few out there that actually give you dividends, premiums on top of that. So the one that I use right now gives you 4% on what you make that year.
Okay.
So if you only made 7% on the stock market, you now get another extra 4% on top of that. That's 11%. 11%, your money doubles every 7 years, roughly every
Okay.
6.5, 7 years. So if you had 100,000 in there in 6.5, 7 years, now you have 200,000. If you had
Mhm.
200,000, then it changes to 400,000. 400 to 88 to 1.6. So
Okay.
that's how that really works. So the younger you get in, the better. I have
Mhm.
clients that I've got on their children, it's forever. So now they get to a point where the children, if they need to buy their first home, don't have to go to a bank or scramble up the deposit. They can borrow against that. Now, here's a
That's the
great thing.
smartest
If
thing.
you
Yeah.
borrow against it, you don't have to pay it back because it's going to
Right.
come out of your death policy.
Exactly.
So it's now I will tell you, doesn't mean it's free, right? People get
Yeah.
that misconstrued all the time. So I just told you I get 11%, right? Because I get 7 plus the 4% dividend.
Right.
Well, when you borrow money, they're going to charge you to borrow that money. They say they charge you 3%. But now
Mm.
instead of 11%, I'm still getting 8%. And I didn't have to pay any money back on that 25,000 I borrowed for the deposit on my house.
Right, right. Okay. Okay. So the benefit of it is what compared to stock? What's the
The benefit is
benefit?
that you don't participate in the losses, right? And again, this example I get: if you have 100,000 and stocks go down 20%, which it has before, you
Yeah.
have what? You have what now? 80,000, right?
1.7. Yeah,
You have
yeah,
80.
yeah. Because
So
of the
how
1.7%.
much money you have to make to get back to 100? It
20.
ain't 20%, because 20 times 80 is 96.
Okay.
So even that 20% you lost, 20% won't get you back to where you were,
Okay.
right? So that's why not sharing the loss is huge. It's
Mm.
huge
Gotcha.
because now I don't have to work extra hard to get back to where I was. Now
Right.
once I'm just holding my money, barely breaking even, now I'm back in once it goes back up.
Gotcha. Don just said, what company should we be looking into? You do life insurance, right?
We do, yeah. I mean, you got
Dondra,
Stand
I'll
America,
give you. I'll
Pac
give you
Life.
some. You still do it?
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, because a
Um.
lot of times that's part of our wealth strategy. We sit down and do wealth strategy. Part of it is that. Now it's not tax deductible, and I'll tell you why it's not tax deductible. Right? You talked about term life. We do normally do a package deal, right? Where you get the insurance, the whole life of the IUL. You do that portion, a decent amount, not anything crazy. It's more expensive. Then we do
Yeah.
a term on a large amount, which is still cheaper. So while you have kids, they'll be covered for a large amount, which can take them further. God forbid anything happened to you. But then you have
Mm.
your IUL for your insurance, but plus the investment portion of it. Now it's
Right.
not
Right.
for investment. That's just a side benefit of it.
Oh. Gotcha. Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
Okay. So we got a couple of folks that's on there. Yes, please. I need that information. Um, okay, cool, cool. All right, I'm gonna share his information with you guys that are in the chat. We got a couple of folks that are in there.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, so we can definitely talk about that. So now let's move on to the next thing, which is behavioral money, right? Why do
Hmm.
people make more money but still feel broke?
A couple of reasons. Again, it goes to spending. No one wants to have money and not be able to show that you have money, right? No
Yeah,
one wants to
yeah,
feel like they're poor, feel poor when they actually make money. So we'll buy a better car, we'll buy a better house, we'll buy everything. It gets right back to this level again, right? And this is kind of what we talked about before about discipline. Like you should really have your 5 year goal, your 3 year goal, your 2 year goal metered out to where you want to
mhm,
be, how much you want to have in the bank, especially if you have a job that is metered income. You know, every other month or every 2 weeks, you're going to have a certain amount to hit your account. You and your
yeah,
spouse, or you should kind of, if you're single, you should kind of sit down and say, okay, what do I need to live?
yeah,
What point do I need to live? Okay, now, do I want to enjoy life? I do. I want to have a vacation fund set aside. I want to have this. And there's a couple of places that allow you to put percentages away, just so you kind of don't touch it first. Because sometimes if you touch it, you're like, I'll get it
yeah,
next week.
yeah,
You might have to change your spending habits when it comes to food. Eating out is expensive. You may have
yeah.
to buy more food, eat healthier, whatever. I know there's a lot of services that are out now that are smaller portions, but it's trying to help you out so you don't have to cook and you still get quality meals.
Mm,
It's a lot. The spending habits is a big thing, Mark. That has nothing to do with really what you need. It's more so what you want, right? It's more so about how it makes you feel.
mm.
I hear the word retail therapy all the time. I need some retail therapy, and then next thing you know, you need some finance therapy.
Right, 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 right.
Hmm.
So take me through this real quick. Take me through there, as the young folks would say.
I'll
Take me
take you
through
there.
there. Okay. So so basically, right, okay, Pete. So I got a client that makes $70,000 per year. Walk us through how my client, this person can keep more of their money. Like, and I'm talking about like I mean, I know we got retirement
Mhm.
contribution, HSA, different credits
HSA
and
is
struggle
tough.
income. Tell me.
HSA is tough because HSA, you have to know how much you're going to need in advance, right? If you don't, it's use it or
Why?
lose it.
Why you say that?
So if I said, okay, I can max out my HSA at 5,000 to keep my taxable income down, but you only need it for 3,000, that 2,000 is gone. You
Ooh.
only have a certain amount of time to use that money before it's just donated. So HSA is tough unless you already know the medicines. If you know what kind of co-pays you're going to need, then you put that in there. So HSA is tougher. 401k is great. You can get the step up basis if you're a certain age, where you can put more into your retirement account. That's another one of the examples that we talked about where even though you don't have your hands on the money, it's still under your access. It's still under you personally instead of the government. So that's not a bad one. I would see what credits I qualify for, Mark. Honestly, they last year they had the EV credits, which means if you bought an electric car, you got like a $4,000, $5,000 rebate. So
Mhm.
he got rid of that one though, and which is weird because him and Elon were very close. So that's a weird one that he got rid of. I feel like that was a dig at Elon on purpose,
Yeah, yeah,
right? So, but housing is still until I think it's till September 30th of this year. If you do stuff to your houses commercially, so commercially, I think is that. I think you have a couple more, but you need to find out what do I qualify for, and if I
mhm,
qualify for certain things, how much do I qualify for?
right,
Um, People hate sometimes, when your kids get a little older, your money, the 1 year your tax refund goes from that's nice to what is this? Because you
right.
don't understand where the child tax credit cuts off. It cuts off on the year that they're 16. The next year they turn 17 in that tax year, it's gone. So from 2,500
Oh,
down to 500. That's a big gap.
oh,
So if you have three kids, you just lost 6,000 if they're all over that threshold at the same time. Which, unless you have
right.
triplets, that's not going to happen. But it's going to be a waterfall effect each and every year. So, I mean, I think you have to have somebody kind of look at it, just glance at it. What are we going to do? What can we do? What can I do? 9 times out of 10, I tell people, hey, start a business. Start a business. You
Yeah,
know,
start a
and
business.
not a hobby. The difference,
Yes.
there's a big difference between the two. A hobby is when you're not showing that you're trying to make money. You don't really have a bank account for that, and you also don't keep any records, right? Once you don't do those things, you consider it a hobby. The reason why that's important is because hobbies can only go up to zero. You can't write off losses on hobbies.
Mm,
So if you overspend, you can't use it in that year. So it's important that you actually get to where you're considered a small business and you're trying to make income. Again, it is very easy in today's computer age. Right? It wasn't like that when I was coming up. You had to get a paper route and you had to work at McDonald's to try to make that work, right? You don't have to do. You don't have to do. Them days are gone. You don't have to do
yeah.
that. You can have actually because of AI, you can almost put this thing on autopilot. Set it up, put it on autopilot, or you can. I think I've heard the one thing that's where you design T-shirts, put them on Canva order them, ship it over to some other company. They'll actually do the disbursements, the fulfillment,
Yeah.
and then they cut you a check at the end of every month of the difference.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Doing some sort of I mean, I know you can set up like a Shopify or something like that. There's
Yep,
so many people that have so much like good ideas, and that's where
yep,
um sometimes I feel like they're robbed of their ideas because you have inventors, you have innovators. But you know
yep.
the innovators, we're innovators, right? To the
Hmm.
core. But we also have inventions, because you'll have a tax person that will go into every single aspect of, but you are more on the business side, which is the in the moving the
Well,
company
I'm
forward.
going to tell you, like, I want to say 25% of my clients benefit from the personal side because they're open to new ideas and
Yeah,
new situations, right? I tell people all the time, if you have one dog, one apartment, one job, I probably won't do better than H&R Block. It's just because it is what it is, right? But if you have anything that's outside of that box, if you want to have, because when you do your own taxes, if there's anything wrong, guess who's responsible for it?
you
You, right? So
you
there's a thing called a filing error fee that IRS can charge up to $5,000, if not more. Oh yeah.
really,
So when it
really.
says self-prepared on the bottom of your taxes, you have to pay that. So even if you're paying somebody and it says self-prepared at the bottom of your taxes, my favorite term for them is basement bobs. If you got a basement bob doing your taxes and it says self-prepared instead of like my company name's on there, my name is on there, I'm letting the
Yeah.
IRS know I prepared this document. Right? Then if there's a
Mm.
problem, I'm allowed to speak on behalf of that client for their document.
People be
Anytime it
trying to
says
cut corners.
self-prepared, you by
Yeah.
yourself. You out there by yourself. I don't care how much you paid.
Folks be trying to cut corners, honestly. They be
That
trying to
ain't
cut.
one place you want to cut it,
Yeah, you don't not want to. You'll pay now or pay later. That is definitely one
but you
thing.
gonna pay for sure.
Mm, wow, wow. So when it comes to a lot of us, our goal is like the biggest takeaway. So what do you say to somebody that is interested in starting an actual business but doesn't know which way to go? They're
Yeah.
afraid they don't know how to do taxes. They're afraid that they don't know how to, like, they got people, they got real talent. They may know how to
Mhm.
cook, they know how to do something. They may have some sort of skill. What do you tell that person?
So first we find their passion mark, right? We find out what are you passionate about, because
Yeah.
if you can do it, it'll feel less like work when it's something you're passionate about. We're
Yeah.
passionate about helping people here. So we do taxes, tax resolution with the IRS, insurance, all of our stuff is related to helping people. If you tell me what you're passionate about, you don't have to do the back end. Find
Yeah.
somebody who can do the back end for you. I am a
Yeah.
big thinker. So when you tell me an idea, I've already multiplied it and made it bigger, and I'm working
Yeah.
backwards. So,
Yep.
you want to sell flowers? That's great. Okay. Have you thought about locations? Have you thought about subselling to other locations and selling the flowers to somebody else where you just get your money, let them mark it up, but you're getting your consistency every single month? Like,
Right.
I know the example I always use is people who start their own business oftentimes get ideas from where they worked and they liked it. And then they
Yeah.
thought, my talents are being stolen because I'm working for this guy and I should be doing all this making the money. The
Mm,
problem is they don't know about the other side of the equation. No matter what kind of business you have, it's a business. No matter, I don't care if you got an ice cream stand, you're still collecting funds, paying taxes, paying this, paying that, getting your licensing fee, getting your insurance. It's still a business. So who's
mm,
going to make sure that business side is being taken care of? Most people don't understand what's all involved with that. And guess what? No one cares. Ignorance is not an excuse. I didn't
yeah.
know does not save you from the penalties, fees, and possible fraud, depending on what you do. So I didn't know will not get it at all. So you need to get somebody like us on your team that can sit down with and have your consultation and say, hey, what are you good at? Oh, you're good at this? Okay, well, how about you do that and you give us the rest? Or you do these two things and we'll do the other three things. And then
Mm,
therefore we can meet on a regular basis once a month, once a week, once a quarter to make sure that we're on track to doing what you said that you want to do, which is big. Truly.
yeah. Yeah. So I thank you for coming in. We're definitely going to get you back in. We got more questions for you. If anybody else, we got a lot. Yeah, they want that information on there. I see it. So I appreciate you guys for chiming in with your questions. Oh, you know what? I think we can actually see it. I can show it right here on the screen. You see the questions?
Yep. We got, looks like we got a lot
Yeah,
of them.
we got some questions that's on there. We're definitely going to, go through each one by one. Please leave a comment if you guys have any type of questions you want Pete to basically answer the next
Yep.
time we come on, and we'll do this at a respectable time because I know many of you guys are at work and
Yeah.
things like that. I know people are off because of the holiday, so I just wanted to get in. We've been trying to do this for a minute. Schedules was all over the place,
Yes,
and
sir.
busy. So yeah, we'll definitely get back in touch. We thank you guys for joining, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Yep. Thank you for having me, Mark.